Hola, soy yo, Vicky, de El Príncipe Center, otra vez. So, bueno, I don't know which country you are locked down in, but unfortunately in Spain it's really cold. So, yeah, hace mucho frío. So, si estás en España, if you're in Spain, uf, sí, mucho frío, ¿no? Okay, anyway, at least there's not a lot we can do about this horrible situation at the moment, but one thing we can do is learn some Spanish. Well, we're stuck at home and we can't really get out to do much else. So, okay, what we're going to look at today is the imperfect tense, another past tense. If you have as usual, if you have the Break the Language Barrier Level 2 book, we are on page 40, I think that's 43. And so we've just finished. Look, if you've been following the series, which it doesn't matter if you haven't, you can, if you want to learn about the imperfect tense, this video can stand alone and still teach you about the imperfect tense. You don't need to have the book. It's just that if you have got the book, people like to follow it as it goes along. And if you do want to buy the book, you can get it on any Amazon site, and as far as I know, Amazon are delivery, so that's another good thing. So our great delivery people at least bringing us things that we can do during this time. Okay, so the imperfect tense. Well, first of all, what is it in English? Well, the imperfect, this is the past tense that we use when we're talking about things that happened repeatedly in the past. So not the pre-treat, which we use, the previous tense that we did, that's things that happened once in the past at a specific point in time. So the imperfect is more the tense that we use to talk about things that have no specific beginning or end. They have finished, there is past finished, that is what it does have in common with the pre-treat. We're not doing these things anymore. And that's where it's different from the present perfect. Again, another past tense that we did before. All these things are available on the other videos, so if you're not sure about present perfect or pre-treat or even present, you perhaps need to go back and start with the earlier videos and build your way up to this one. So yeah, past finished, but no specific beginning or end, or something that we did repeatedly in the past. So for example, if I was to say, I used to go to the cinema every Saturday. So in English, quite often we use used to, what you used to do, something you did repeatedly in the past. I always used to go to the beach on a Sunday. Or I always went on holiday in August. Always, repeatedly. So this is the imperfect, not the pre-treat. So the pre-treat we would use for what we did. I went on holiday last week, or I went to the cinema last Saturday. A one-off past action at a specific point in time. So the imperfect is a repeated past action, or an action that has no specific beginning or end. So if I say, when I was working in England, yeah, so I'm not saying I was working in England at a specific point. I worked in England in quite a long time ago, 1997, for example. I'm saying when I was working in England, or I worked in England for a long time. I'm not specifying when I worked there. So that's the criteria for no specific beginning or end. When I was a child, yeah, anything that we did, normally this would be the tense that we would use for describing past background, setting the scene, like fairy stories, for example. Once upon a time there was a girl who lived in Neverland. So these are things we're setting a background description in the past. So there's three criteria: repeated actions in the past, actions that have no specific beginning or end, setting a past sort of background, And anything also that we were doing. I was walking down the street. I was speaking to Juan. Yeah, not I spoke to Juan. So I spoke to Juan would be preterite. I was speaking would, so any past continuous, what we call past continuous in English, was or were doing, we would use the imperfect. Now, there are some times where the preterite and the imperfect are a bit blurry, and you could perhaps use one or the other, but that's something we'll look at in the future when we come to compare the past tenses, and it does make things easier then when we start to look at them together. At the moment, we're just looking at the imperfect. And so these are the things we're using it for. Things we repeatedly did in the past actions with no specific beginning or end, background descriptions, and anything we were doing. Okay? Now, the good news about the imperfect is it's so much easier to conjugate than the preterite. So we only have 3 irregular verbs in the imperfect. All the other verbs, every single other verb in Spanish, whether it's AR, ER or IR, is regular. And we only have 2 sets of endings. So we're going to look at the AR verbs first of all, and we're going to take this verb, the verb that's given as the example in the book, estudiar. So estudiar is an AR verb. And we do what we normally do. We take off the AR, yeah, and that leaves us with the stem, which is estudi, and then we add on our endings. So the endings for AR verbs are as follows. I call this the Alibaba tense because anyway, you'll see why when I give you the endings. So, aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban. These are your endings. So to say I was studying, I used to study, or I studied, if there's no particular time specified when you studied, you would say estudiaba. And then second person, you, estudiabas. He, she, it is the same as the first person, estudiaba again. So this is a case where we would have to put in the yo, el or ella to make it clear. Because if I just said estudiaba, maybe it'd be evident from the context of what I was talking about, but it could really be I used to study, he used to study, or she used to study. So with the first and third person, it's probably a good idea to put in the person. We used to study, estudiábamos. Use, plural you, estudiabais, and they estudiaban. So those endings, aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban, are the same for all AR verbs, okay, because there actually are no irregular AR verbs in this tense. Then the example we've got here in the book is tener, the verb to have. So this would translate to used to have, was having, had. Like if I was to say I had a dog, and I don't if I'm not saying I had a dog in 2015, that would be preterite because I'm specifying the time when I had the dog. But if I'm just saying I had a dog, when I was a child I had a dog, well, there's no specific time limit, beginning or end, so we would use the imperfect. And the endings for ER verbs, which tener is an ER verb, it's normally irregular tener, isn't it? In most tenses it seems to be irregular, but not in this tense. And the endings for ER verbs we will be using for IR verbs as well. And the endings are ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. So, again, first person, I used to have, and third person, singular, he or she used to have, same ending, so we need to put in our person. So we would have tenía, tenías, tenía, teníamos, teníais, tenían. Yeah, I used to have, you used to have, or I was having, you were having. Yeah. Okay, and then as I said, same endings for IR verbs. The example that I've used in the book is venir. Venir is to come. And again, another verb that's normally irregular. Present tense, it's a diphthong. It's regular in the past participle, but then in the preterite, it's irregular. But in this tense, it's regular. So we put our the same endings on that we did for the ER verbs. So venía, venías, venía, veníamos, veníais, venían. Okay. So, so that's basically it, apart from the only three irregular verbs. And the three irregular verbs are ser, of course, ver, to see, and ir, to go, which is, to be honest, normally irregular as well. But ser, anyway, ser becomes era, eras, era, éramos, erais, eran. So that would be I was, like when I was a child, cuando era niña. Yeah, because you can't put a specific point when you stop being a child. There is no specific ending to it. Okay, so era, eras, era, éramos, erais, eran. Okay, then we've got ver. Ver is to see. So this would be used to see, was seeing. Rarely would be saw, because normally if you were saying I saw something, that would always be a specific point in time. So that would be the preterite. So this would only really be, of course, it can be watch as well. So I was watching the telly. Veía la tele. So the only thing that's irregular actually about this verb is that you leave on the E. So it actually does take the regular endings for this tense for ER and IR verbs. But instead of taking off the E and the R, to make this stem like we normally do, you leave on the E. So you end up with veía, veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, veían. Vale, so that would be, used to see or used to watch or was seeing, was watching. Then ir, this lovely little verb that we all like, but it's funny with ir because I actually find the conjugations for ir are normally the easiest to remember because they are quite distinctive. And of course you do, it's amazing how often you use this verb, really, isn't it? The verb to go. But anyway, so this is what it becomes in this tense. Iba, ibas, iba, ibamos, ibais, iban. So IBAN, IBAN, IBA for the first person and for the third person singular. So quite easy to remember, I think. And this is handy as well, because if you wanted to talk about something you were going to do, like say, oh, well, I was going to go on holiday, So we say, iba a ir, I was going to. Iba a ir de vacaciones, I was going to go on holiday. So I think that's handy because it helps us to construct things as well. So apart from just the normal meaning, I was going to the shops, or I used to go to the cinema, I was going to do something, we would use this tense. So iba, ibas, iba, ibamos, ibais, iban. Okay, so that's your three irregulars, only those three. So all the others, take the endings. AR verbs are aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban. And ER and IR verbs, ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ia. Okay, so that's your endings. Now, we're going to look at practice A down at the bottom of the page. Again, if you've got the book, if you haven't got the book, don't worry, because I'm going to read out the sentences in English before I translate them into Spanish. So, numero uno, number one, the English is, we used to speak on the telephone every night. Okay, we used to speak. So, used to, we'll use this tense. So the verb to speak, hablar. So hablábamos por teléfono. And I like cada noche because it's nice and easy. Cada, you don't have to change it for masculine or feminine, but you can also use todos, but you'd have to change it to feminine because it's todas las noches. Okay, so hablábamos por teléfono either cada noche o todas las noches. Okay, now numero dos. The sun was shining. I wish it would shine here. It just makes everything so much more depressing when there's no sun. We've had a week without sun. I mean, that just doesn't happen in Spain. But anyway, never mind. We do know that one day it will come back. So the sun was shining. Well, to shine is brillar. Brillar, like in, you can see where brilliant comes from. So brillar is the verb to shine. So it just be el sol brillaba. Yeah. You can say estaba brillando as well, but because we're focusing on this tense, so I won't be using any of those. I'm just using the verb, putting the imperfect tense, and that gives you the was shining, all in the one word. Okay, so el sol brillaba. Número tres. When I was a child, I lived in England. So cuando era niña, I would say niña. If you're a boy or a man, you would say niño. Yeah, cuando era niño, vivía en Inglaterra. Yeah, I lived in England. I used to live, más o menos. Because again, if it was in 2010, I lived in England, that would be pre-treat because we're talking about a specific point in time. But when I was a child, cuando era niña, bueno, you know, we don't know exactly when that was. Hace muchos años. Okay, número cuatro. They were listening to the radio. So the verb to listen is escuchar. So they were listening, escuchaban la radio. Oh, and I need to just mention, yes, cuando era niña, I probably should say cuando yo era niña, because it could be he or she as well. But again, it depends on the context of your conversation. If it's evident that you're talking about yourself, you don't need to put in the person, but if it's not evident, you do. ¿Vale? Okay, so eso fue número 4. So vamos a pasar la página a 44. So we're going on to page 44 now for the rest of the questions. So, número 5. Where did you used to play when you were a child? Okay, so again, that where did you used to and play is the where, obviously we need where, which is donde. But for the did you used to play, we just need the verb jugar, to play, put into this tense. So, donde jugabas cuando eras niño or niña, depending on who you're asking. Número 6, I was swimming in the sea. So the verb to swim is nadar. Again, we'll put the yo in just to make it clear it's I was. So it's yo nadaba en el mar. Yo nadaba en el mar. Y número 7, she used to have a dog. Well, to have is tener. So she used to have, again, we'll put in the she because otherwise it could be I or he. So we'll say ella tenía un perro. ¿Vale? Y número 8, their teacher used to shout all the time. So their, belonging to them, is su, su. And used to shout, the verb to shout is gritar. So we take the verb to gritar and put it in this tense. So su profesora. Oh, I'm saying profesora. I just automatically said profesora because I'm thinking of myself, I think, but it could be profesor, claro, if it's a man. So su profesor or profesora gritaba todo el tiempo. So all the time is todo el tiempo. Después tenemos, where did you used to work? Yeah. So that will be donde. The verb to work is trabajar. So where did you used to work? Donde trabajabas? And después tenemos número 10. Carmen used to clean the house at weekends. So Carmen used to clean is limpiaba, because the verb is limpiar. La casa, the house. Now, at weekends in Spanish, we just say los fines de semana, the weekends, ¿vale? Okay, so Carmen limpiaba la casa los fines de semana. Después tenemos número 11. They always used to get up at 7 o'clock in order to go to work. Vale. So they always used to get up. The verb to get up is levantarse. It's reflexive, so you would say siempre. We'll start with the siempre. I like to start with the adverbs of frequency. It's just easier that way. So siempre. So Carmen siempre se levantaba. Oh no, it's not Carmen, it's Taya. Carmen was in the previous one. So, se levantaban. No, I've forgotten the always now. Sorry, I will get the hang of this Spanish sooner or later. So, siempre se levantaban a las 7 para ir a trabajar. So, siempre se levantaban a las 7 para ir a. Now, you could say a trabajar using the infinitive, or you could always say, also say al trabajo, ¿vale? Okay, número 12, I was getting dressed. So that's vestirse. So this is just so simple in Spanish to say. It's so simple that people quite often get it wrong for that reason, because they can't believe it could just be that. But it's literally me vestía. So you're taking the vestirse, taking off your reflexive pronoun from the end and putting it to the front, me, and changing it to the right person for I. Me vestía. Okay, número 13. His father was an accountant, so su padre era, because it's a profession. So, of course, was in this tense could be ser or estar, but as it's a profession, we're using ser. So, su padre era contable, or contador también puedes usar. And number 14, I was watching my favourite program on the television. So, veía, or yo veía, I was watching mi programa favorito en la tele o en la televisión. Y el último, número 15. Now, it was very sunny in Spain. Now, it's not exactly a trick question, but I did put it in more or less deliberately, talking about the weather to remind people how we talk about the weather in Spanish. Because we say, it was very sunny, we use the verb hacer, remember, for the weather. So if you're saying it's cold, hace frío, it's hot, hace calor. So it's saying when you go into the past tense, it was very sunny, so you'd say hacía mucho sol en España. Hacía mucho sol en España, pero no ahora, not at the moment. Okay, vale, so that's the introduction to the imperfect. We'll be continuing in other videos to practice it, and then as time goes on we'll be actually comparing it then with the other tenses, and I think that's quite often when the penny starts to drop for people with the past tenses, because they are a bit tricky. So, yeah, once more, if you do want to buy the book, you can buy it on any Amazon site, or any of the levels. There's Break the Language Barrier levels 1 to 4, and I will be going through all the tutorials. I'll probably get them done a lot quicker than I thought I was going to be able to get them done, because of all the time at the moment that I can't be doing classes actually here at the centre. I am doing an offer on Skype classes at the moment, so they're normally €22 an hour. They're a private class, but now at the moment I'm doing an offer of €15 an hour, because obviously Skype classes are really the only classes we can do at the moment. So if you're interested in doing some Skype classes, which basically we do, it is a private class, so we can go through grammar, we can talk, we can go through particular themes that maybe you're interested in. So if you're interested in doing a Skype class, you can sign up on the website for that. The website should be mentioned somewhere here in the YouTube channel. If there's anything you particularly want me to go through in a video, please let me know, as ever. If you've enjoyed this video or found it useful, please give me the thumbs up. And if you've not subscribed already, if you're new to this channel and you'd like to receive notification of future videos, please press the subscribe button that I think is down there. Also, as you may have noticed, I'm now doing some videos to help people learn English through Spanish. So if you know anybody who's trying to learn English and they'd quite like some explanations in Spanish, perhaps you could tell them about that. Or if you have any friends who are looking to learn Spanish, please let them know about this one as well. Vale, ya está. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else to say except all stay at home, stay safe, and let's hope this is all over with soon. So thank you for watching. Muchas gracias. I really do appreciate people watching. I just hope that you get something out of these videos and it helps you on your journey to learn Spanish. Okay, so see you next time. Vale, hasta la próxima. Adiós.